Bookworms, I'm Becca. Today I'm going to be doing the Nope Trope book tag. I will leave the original tag down below in the description so that you can check it out. It's based around the idea of pairing a popular trope that is overrated with a book. It's kind of how all tags work a little bit, so let's just get started. Question number 1 is the trope of eavesdropping, and then the character misunderstanding what was happening in the conversation and chaos ultimately ensues. For this, you're going to pick a book that you heard good things about but ended up not enjoying. For this, I chose Let's Talk About Love by Claire Can. This is a young adult book about a girl named Alice who is biromantic asexual and is struggling with telling people in her life that she is asexual, especially when she starts having feelings for a new guy at work, and she's never really had these sorts of feelings before. So Alice starts questioning basically everything in her life. I wanted to love this book so much, but it has been one of the most disappointing books that I've read all year. I thought that the friendships in this book were very toxic and manipulative, and that is not something that I like being written off as normal or okay in young adult books. So yeah, this one was not for me. Question number 2 is love triangles. I think we all know what a love triangle is, but Zoe made a really good point that it's almost like a misnomer, because a love triangle implies that everyone in the story has feelings for each other. Like the main character has feelings for 2 people who in turn have feelings for the main character and for each other, and that's never really what happens. So Zoe said that it should realistically be called the Love V, because usually it is a main character that has feelings for 2 different people, not a love triangle, and that makes so much sense. But for this, you are going to name a series that you can't pick your favorite book from. So I decided to go with a trilogy just to keep it in theme with the love triangle trope, and I went with the To All the Boys I Loved Before trilogy by Jenny Han. It is To All the Boys I Loved Before, P.S. I Still Love You, Always and Forever, Lara Jean. I love all 3 of these books so much, especially when you put them all together into a nice lovely little trilogy, and I don't think that I could choose any of those 3 books that stand out more than the others. I think that together they are just really perfect. Question number 3 is the trope of the not like other girls, or the main character doesn't realize that she's pretty, which is very common in young adult actually. So for this, you're going to choose a book with a beautiful cover but ended up being boring as hell. For this, I decided to go with Small Town Hearts by Lily Vale. I thought this book was okay. I mean, the cover is gorgeous, but the story honestly was nothing special. Nothing really happens in this book, and it was disappointing. It was still pretty good. I didn't hate it. It's not like rant review worthy, but it's definitely not the best book that I've ever read, if that makes sense. Question number 4 is all-consuming love, and for this makes me think of like the insta-love trope, but Zoe explained it as like a book that isn't marketed as a romance, but as soon as you start reading it, you realize that the majority of the book is going to be a romance or an infatuation with a character. So for this, you're going to choose a book that gave you a book hangover. I decided to go with Sadie by Courtney Summers. I listened to this as an audiobook. I haven't actually read the physical copy of it yet, but this is about a girl named Sadie who is trying to find her father, but it's told in like dual perspectives almost, where you get Sadie's point of view, but then the other perspective is from a true crime podcast that is reporting on Sadie's story because her car is found abandoned, basically, and it's like a missing girl story. The cliffhanger on this book's ending still just sits with me. Like, I cannot handle the way this book ended. If you know, you know. And it gave me a serious book hangover. Question number 5 is the douchebag boyfriend trope, and this is like a bad boy trope or a douchebag boyfriend, basically. So for this, you're going to choose a book that took you a while to get into, but you ended up loving it. And for this, I'm choosing Felix Ever After by Case and Callender. I ended up adoring this book, but I feel like it did take me a little bit to get into. I was just kind of soaking up the story and letting it sit with me for a little bit. But then towards the end, I do have some tabs in here. I was originally really upset that it took me until that point to find something that I felt was worthy of tabbing to go back to in the future, but overall this is such a solid book and I highly recommend it. And question number 6 is just to tell your least favorite trope. This was actually a really hard question for me to answer because tropes don't typically bother me, but if I did have to choose a trope that is annoying most of the time, I would have to go with the enemies to lovers trope. And I feel like I thought that Felix Ever After was going to go that route, and that might have been why it took me a little bit longer to get into the story, because I was preparing myself for it to go that route even though I didn't want it to. I just feel like those types of relationships end up being really toxic and not very good, and so I don't like seeing that trope, but that's just me. So there you guys go. That is the Nope trope book tag. Just a nice little short and sweet video for you guys today. Make sure to let me know down below in the comments what your least favorite trope is in books, because I'd love to hear it. If you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below to see more bookish videos. That's all I got for you guys today, and I will see you next time. Bye!